Robert,
Hi Hans, how are you doing?
I'm doing fine. We just talked about the future of the networks, which then relate to what we saw in the movie just before with the limitless connectivity.
Right. So that's one of the phases that you see here on the table. It's the research layer, which is about 10 years ahead of time. We have here a dense urban, we have a stadium, we have urban, we have manufacturing, and we have rural. And here you see like a digital representation of the actual city. So the digital and the physical are connected, and in this case it's like a digital twin that we're showing. Now what we're talking about for the future is, for instance, that we will have trillions of devices connected. We're talking about devices, for instance, that are energy harvesting. So they're getting their energy from the environment, like for instance movement or maybe even heat. But also Internet of Senses. We're talking about devices such as taste, such as smell, haptics, voice, as well as so sound, as well as images. And all these different devices need to be connected and need to be supported by one network. And that's what we're calling anywhere, anytime, limitlessly type of connectivity. Now, of course, to get there, we need to have some kind of baseline. So we're coming from a foundation where we're talking about 2 years ahead of time. So in this case, if we're looking what operators are talking about, it's modernize with cost effectiveness, it's expand into new business opportunity and managing increasing complexity. So if I take an example here related to the modernize with cost effectiveness, to get the coverage everywhere, operators are having a 4G network maybe today, they introduce 3.5 gigahertz. That coverage will be limited, but by using spectrum sharing with a lower frequency band, by using carrier aggregation, they can expand the coverage for the 3.5 gigahertz and reuse their existing sites. So they get coverage everywhere and they can reuse the cost per bit. Some operators are doing modernization. So if we look, for instance, with Vodafone UK in the dense urban area in London, they were having massive MIMO radios. And they were large, they were heavy. To put them in place, they needed to stop the road, they needed to put a crane there, and then they needed to hoist everything up. Now with the new radios, what is happening is that we have the Ericsson silicon, we have our own ASIC design. And what we can do in this case is we can dramatically shrink the radios, we can make them much lighter, we can also reduce the power consumption, which means that the operator can lift their radios up to the top of the building. So from a time to market perspective, they can roll out the network much quicker, but at the same time they could reduce their energy consumption by 43%.
Wow.
That's great. Yeah.
So a few examples of what we discuss here around the table.
Thank you so much, Robert. All right, so here we're talking about how you can actually get the 5G coverage in a bigger way and really use the connectivity in the best way.